Since 2019, there's been at least 200,000 people incarcerated in America with life sentences. Some guilty, some innocent, but very few with a chance to make it home. These are a few stories from some of those few, the ones that survived those sentences. Therefore, we bring you life after life.
Hello, everybody. Want to welcome you to another episode of Life After Life, where we talking to the men and the women who have served significant amount of time in prison in the state of Tennessee. My guest today is a good friend of mine, Jerome. Jerome, how you doing, my brother?
Wonderful, my
Thanks
brother.
for coming out, man.
Yes, sir.
How you doing today?
Good.
Doing good.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Yeah, me and Jerome met back at River Bend Maximum Security. We were working as support workers, housing Unit 6. And I met this brother, man, and he's a good dude, real good-hearted guy. So y'all pretty much get an idea of who he is, what he's about during the time that we're conversing. All right, so for the record, tell everybody your name and where you from, my brother.
My name is Jerome Smith, and I'm from Gallatin, Tennessee.
Gallatin, Tennessee. All right, so Gallatin's your hometown.
Yes, sir.
Do you live in Gallatin now?
No, I live in Nashville.
You live in Nashville. Okay, all right, cool. So tell everybody a little bit about your upbringing.
Well, I'm from Gallatin.
Okay.
Jock, ran track, played football, pretty boy,
Yeah.
trendsetter,
Right.
That's who he was, Yeah, I was raised in a single parent home. Wonderful parents, they split when we was younger, but good parents, grandparents, a part of our lives,
Oh, you had a big mom in the family. Yeah.
Yeah,
Big mom in the family.
and just a small town, but played sports, popular, pretty much, normal life.
Gotcha. So when you were coming through high school and everything to that nature, give them an account of how your older teenage years were for you. Did you have any siblings? Were you closer to your mother because your father was gone? Things of that nature.
Well, quite naturally, I would be closer to my mother because, growing up in a single parent home,
Right.
with my mother, I had 3 other brothers, 2 older brothers and a twin brother.
And twin brother. Y'all were
Yeah.
identical twins?
Yes.
Identical twins, okay.
Yeah, so one of my brothers stayed in Portland, Tennessee, and the other one stayed with my grandmother. So basically, it was me and my twin brother in the house with my mom.
Okay, so tell everybody, were you and your siblings close, and how close were you with your twin? Now you all were identical twins, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell everybody, about your relationship with your siblings,
Yeah.
and let everybody know what happened with your twin.
Okay, so my 2 older brothers, they was cool, but they wasn't in the house with us. So it was kind of like one stayed with my dad, so he was, always with my dad. And my oldest brother, he was with us, but we was twins, so it was like, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
Your biggest bond is with your twin. You came in the world
Right.
together.
You did.
So yeah, unfortunately, my twin brother was murdered, from retaliation for my crime. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That had to have an impact on you, knowing that your brother's life was taken because of a crime that you committed. So were you able to heal from that, forgive yourself for that, or what? How do you feel about it now?
I can never forgive myself for that.
Right.
Cause it's like I trade places any day.
Yes, sir.
But if you knowing me and how I was raised, and who my twin brother was, he was like our Jesus Christ,
Right,
Like
yeah.
he was the boss, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I heard
So,
good things about your brother. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
plus things you've told me.
Yeah.
Okay, so leading up to your crime, was it a spontaneous act, or was it something that was planned?
Well, I guess a little bit of both.
Okay.
Because like I said, we ran track, played football. Mm-hmm. We was popular, like that. But we jumped off the porch.
Gotcha.
Like, I left the house at 15, started dealing with a 28-year-old woman.
Wow.
My twin brother, he's like, man, what you doing with that old gal?
Yeah.
So I'm like, right. Man, I'm telling you benefits,
Right.
So he ended up messing with this girl. She sold drugs. Mm-hmm. So we pretty much took all her clientele, took an ounce of cocaine to Franklin, Kentucky, and got it cooked up and took over,
Right.
So it was kind of like, it was spontaneous because, we started coming up, we taking care of our business, we running the town, and then we get robbed.
Right.
So now it's like, damn, what we gonna do now? We out here running shit. What we gonna do now? So we went to war. Yeah.
Went to war. So,
mm-hmm.
All right. So the assumption that when you say you went to war, so you're pretty much saying that you retaliated, and what happened?
So, quite naturally, we riding. It's time to ride. Like they say today, it's time to slide.
Yeah.
So
right.
So we looking for we looking for the perpetrator who robbed us.
Yeah.
And we could never find him. Cause he was in and out. But his uncle, got big balls.
Right.
Was not going. He like, y'all looking for my nephew? Shit. What's up?
Mm-hmm.
So it went down.
Okay.
And I ended up killing him.
Mm-hmm.
I got locked up. They retaliated and killed my twin brother.
So that's how everything transpired.
That's how it transpired. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So you get how long afterwards, when you committed that offense, did it take for you to be arrested?
About almost a month. Yeah.
Almost a month. So
yeah.
about 30 days, give or take.
A little shorter.
Okay.
Days, yeah.
All right. So you 30 days. During that 30-day time frame, what was going through your mind? What were you feeling? I'm gonna get caught, or do you think you got away with it?
It's crazy because when you're young, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I ran shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
I'm invincible out here. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
So it was just like you don't think like that.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't. You just thinking like shit. Hell, got to put in this work. It is what it is.
Right. So yeah. So you commit the offense of first degree murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How old were you?
I was 18, finna get ready to turn 19.
Ooh,
yeah.
Man, we were so young. We caught our charges, man.
Yeah.
Young. Okay, so, all right. So, did you have a bond? Did you have the money for a bond if you had one?
Man, them folks, they set my bond at $255,000, right? So I had to have $25,000 just to get out, right? But they was gonna revoke the bond because we sold drugs, gang related, drug related.
Right. Yeah.
So it was kind of like one of them things. Like if you make bond, then they gonna take it anyway. So
Yeah. Okay, so when you say gang related, so that assumption, or is it a safe assumption to say that you were a part of a gang affiliation?
Yes.
Which one were you a part of?
The Bloods.
The Bloods. Okay, cool. All right, so you get arrested, you're incarcerated. How long during your incarceration did it take for you? Did you go to trial? Did you take a plea deal? Walk us through that process a little bit.
Oh man. So when you get locked up, right? Everybody, get this lawyer. He the best. He did this. So
man.
I don't know if you know, but Lionel Barrett. I got Lionel Barrett.
Okay, I've heard of him before.
Okay, I got him when he got strung out. So I got him at the end of everything. Like he had a good reputation, but not knowing that he out there now.
Right.
So
so for the public, let them know when you use the term strung out, what that exactly means.
He was out there. He was getting high.
He was getting high.
Yeah.
So he was using drugs. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he was representing you during the time of his drug use.
Right. Right.
Horrible. So it's safe to say that he didn't represent you well.
He did. I'm gonna tell you how good he represented me. He didn't call no witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't file no pretrial motions. He didn't do nothing.
Wow.
Like imagine getting a lawyer, right?
Right.
Paying him $25,000 and seeing him twice. Cause I was locked up a year before I went to trial.
Mm-hmm.
I saw my lawyer twice
In that 1 year.
in 1 year, and we talking about a murder charge.
Oh goodness. He should have been up there every week.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So you spend time in the jailhouse. You go to trial. You get convicted of first degree murder.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how much time did you receive?
25 to life.
25 to life. So you received a life sentence
Yes.
at the age of 19, 18, 19.
At the age of 9, yeah, I was 20 at the time, yeah.
Do you remember your trial judge?
Yes, Miss Wheatcraft.
Her name was what now?
Miss Jane Wheatcraft.
Oh, I've
From
heard
Galveston,
of her.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've heard of her, yeah.
Mhm.
Man, that is okay. So let me ask you this. So you sentenced to life in prison, and you knowing that, and our age on life sentence is 36 years. 60 years, 60%. You do 36, then you get good time, behavior credits, and all that. 25 years. All right, so you get your sentence. How long after your sentence were you sent to the reception center, and which one did you go to?
Okay, I got convicted April the 1st, 1995. Well, 1996.
Okay.
I was sent to prison, but actually I was sent to prison earlier because I got to fighting with the police in the county jail.
Wow.
So I was at River Bend.
Oh, okay. So they had you.
So I was already in, I was
Okay.
in, they call it
Right.
safekeeping. If you hadn't got your time yet, then they can't put you in population.
Because you had.
So yeah.
Okay.
So so I was already at River Bend. So once I got sentenced to life in prison, I went to MTRC like probably a week later. Yeah.
A week later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So this was a state case and not a federal case, right?
Right. State.
All right. So you stayed at the reception center for how long, and then what was the first prison you were assigned to?
Okay, I stayed at the reception center probably about 4 months, and I went to Northwest,
Okay.
which is Lake County.
Lake County. Lake County. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So give me an example of what prison life was for you. Like, what was your first altercation? Did you have an altercation? Things of that nature.
Oh, you always have some people may call it altercations or run-ins or whatever you want to call them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to always have them,
Yeah.
just being in prison, like a bunch of dudes, so whether it be on the basketball court, whether it be just joking and playing or whatever,
Right.
So, but I was lucky because I was always in a position, or shall I say leadership.
Okay.
So, and I always carried myself in a certain manner, to where I'm gonna give you respect,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's kind of one of them things. In order to get respect, you got to give respect. So I always gave respect, and I always carried myself in a certain way.
Right.
But I remember an altercation I had. I was really taking up for somebody else. Because keep in mind, we in West Tennessee.
Right.
So back in the day, it was like it was a West Tennessee, Memphis, Nashville thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I got to Northwest, it was like, they was doing some of the homies bad. They was treating them. So I'm like, I had one rule. You just don't turn out to be no coward. You can rock with me, but just don't be a coward.
Right. Gotcha.
So a lot of the Memphis guys, they peeped that, they was like, dang, these niggas, they think they tough,
Yeah.
So I remember one night, we in the pod, we just chilling. one of my little homies, he on the phone. Well, actually, he got the phone next, but you know, one of the guys, you know, he trying to take care of his business. Now, you know, keep in mind when you got that set coming, you know, you trying to get, you know,
right.
You trying to be on the phone, you know what I'm saying, to handle your business and make sure everything go perfect.
Right.
Well, my guy, he was with some petty stuff, you know. He knew what was going on, but man, I'm next. I got the phone next, you know. So he talking tough. Here I go, you know, put my cape on, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, come on up off that phone. I'm talking to the gangster disciples, you know, and they deep, right? Man, them folks, man, got the. I'm looking. I'm sitting down here on the phone, right? I'm looking and just looking. They mounting up,
right?
And man, so long story short, me and a couple of guys get surrounded, right? Man, these folks got these butchers out, and they like, twin, you gonna stay out of our motherfucking business,
right?
and just so happened, Spanky G. Spanky was like, no, he was like, that's twin, y'all, that's twin. Oh, stand down, you know.
Yeah.
And a couple of days later, they caught up with me, you know, and just was like, look, bro, you got to chill, man. You on the front line for some motherfuckers who ain't about that life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, but that could have been ugly for me, you know.
It could.
Yeah.
So being in the, you know, you was affiliated with the Bloods, right? Mm-hmm. So you pretty much had clout and respect with what you were doing. So them being gangster disciples, they gave you a sort of kind of like a pass of respect because of who you were and how you carried yourself, pretty much.
Well, not because it wasn't like back then. It was like 3 Bloods on the compound.
Oh yeah.
So it wasn't like we didn't have a large presence, you know.
Right. Gotcha.
But you know, you always have to acknowledge yourself. You know, you got to let people know who you are. You know. Mm-hmm. For me, I had homeboys who was Crips. Mm-hmm. Cause keep in mind, like, we from small town, you know, Gallatin, you know, Lebanon, Springfield, you know. So even though we may be on different sets, we still know each other. We still grew up with each other, you know. Right. So it's kind of one of them things, like, you know, I was cool because of, you know, some of my homeboys who done went to prison before me, who was Crips, or who was G's, or who was Vice Lords, you know. So yeah,
and that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
That carries a lot of weight. All right, so during your incarceration, did you have any, you know, relations at all of any sort?
Yeah, I had it. Yeah.
Okay, so that, you know, me knowing you, I know it was, you know, females. I know that. So, you know, my question to you is, you know, was it a release? Was it a good release? Was it like what's the word I'm looking for? Was it kind of nerve-wracking because you had to duck and hide and kind of slide and do your thing, and you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, it was a release, right?
Right.
But it was like one of them things where, well, I got in so deep, I didn't even give a damn if I got caught.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, I know, bro, I know.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, but they could also go to show you that it was nerve-wracking as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's like you trying to keep everybody out your business, but you know people talking, you know, and
yeah, that's always the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you didn't see me with that guy snatched up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, all right, now as far as your work ethic in prison, you know, I know you even now you're still fit. You know, you worked out all the time. You always kept a good job. What was your work ethic like? Did you look for certain jobs? Were you interested only in, you know, doing this or doing that, or did you kind of like do like a jack of all trades thing?
Well, it's kind of one of them things you survive, you know.
Gotcha.
But you know, we gonna try to get the best jobs, you know, so we can, you know, get the most money, you know, or put ourselves in a position to where somebody gonna make sure we straight, you know. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I did. Like, I worked in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I ran the kitchen, but the people who were in charge took care of me because they knew I'm gonna make sure that everything is ran straight. Yeah,
exactly. Sure did. Okay, so now we covered pretty much, prison life, things here and there. Tell me about how you felt when you got close to knowing that parole was a possibility that was like knocking on the door.
Man, I'm gonna tell you a story, man, and it's messed up, man, because when you get locked up, it's like you have to protect yourself mentally. Mm-hmm. So I'm out in West Tennessee, and I'm like, I'm straight out here. I ain't calling home every day. I'm out here. I'm doing my time. I'm focused on doing my time.
Right.
And you go to visit, and when 9/11 happened, you know how they tightened down on everything.
They did.
So I didn't go to visit for a couple of years. Man, I went to visit one day. I didn't even recognize my folks.
Man.
My mama.
Ooh.
I don't even know who my mama is. You know what I'm saying?
That's deep.
My brother,
Yeah.
It's like you said, I'm sitting here talking to my family, and I don't even know who they are. On my way back from visit, I'm walking, and it hit me out of nowhere. I'm damn near fall down on the ground crying because I'm like, I don't even know who my family is.
That's deep, bro.
So that's when I made a decision. I was like, damn, I got to go home.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably like in 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
Right around the time all of us were close to meeting one another.
I've been down about 15 years.
About 15, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what did you do to prepare yourself for parole and possibly going home?
I went up for parole. I was supposed to go up 2020, right? That was my date, 2020. So 10 years before I even went up for parole, I stopped smoking. Mm-hmm. I never really like I said, I was always in a position of leadership, so I really didn't have to worry about like gang banging or nothing like that because I always was like I didn't like hang around with the homies. I didn't make myself so familiar with them to where what I'm saying. The only thing they gonna do is come back, big homie, woo 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 woo, and then I tell them, okay, this is what I think about this, and then they keep it pushing, cause I'm like in the law library too.
Gotcha.
Like I'm trying to get out of prison, so
right, yeah.
So my whole thing is go to work, go to the law library, and go work out, So that's what it was,
All right. Yeah. That because I remember when we were at the Weight Pal at River Bend. I never gonna forget this. And it was me, you, Raheem, JB. It was a bunch of us out there. And Buster had made the comment. He said, "Man, we got life, man. I don't think they're gonna let us go, man. They playing with us." And I remember I told you, I said, we gonna go home. I said, all of y'all gonna beat me home. I said, but we all gonna be out here. I'm telling you, man. And I look at that and I think to myself, like, man, we actually made it up out of there. So, all right, so you go up for parole. Kind of walk us through your first hearing. So
my first hearing, I got a guy out of, he was out of East Tennessee. He was a police officer. Mm-hmm. So a retired police officer.
Right.
So he could look at my crime and he could say, okay, I can see how it was self-defense, and I can also see how they could look at it as it being a murder, know.
Right.
So he was like, but looking at what you done did and what you've accomplished while you've been in prison, I think you're a good candidate for release, He said, I just need one thing. That's a psychological evaluation. Mm-hmm. So I went, got my psych evaluation, came back. Guess what? I don't go in front of him.
Yeah.
I go in front of somebody else.
Right.
Right. That's, it's like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I go in front of somebody else. She tell me, oh, you ain't did enough time. Come back in a year. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so before release, you did approximately how many years?
I did 26 years.
26 years. So in that 26 years, outside of you losing, your twin brother before you, got incarcerated, how many family members, friends did you lose in that 26 years?
Oh man, majority of my family.
Majority of your family.
Majority of my family. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we don't think about when we're young and have underdeveloped minds, that it affects so many people.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, you lost a twin brother before, so you was carrying that guilt inside. Then 26 years later, you lost all of this. All right, man, that's deep, bro. Yeah. So, all right, you make parole finally. 1 week before your release, what was going through your mind?
To be honest with you,
yeah,
and I'm not like trying to be arrogant or nothing like that, but it's like I was, it's like mentally I prepared myself that, I'm free anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So I was already free.
Right.
I was already free. So it was kind of one of them things like, just, come unlock the door. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Okay. Segue into unlocking the door. When they walked you out and you went outside for the first time in the parking lot, what emotion did you feel?
Wow. My nephew came and got me, which I had a lot of, family members out there in the parking lot,
right.
It was surreal, man. To do 26 years in prison and get that love, like to come out and to people still love you, people still, like got your back, like, man, that's a feeling like, like you can't describe,
So, going to the store for the first time, using a debit card for the first time, amongst other things, how had the world changed for you in those 26 years?
I went to the mall, right? First day I got out.
Yeah.
I went to the mall.
Right.
I said, they finna lock him up. They ain't got on no clothes.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, man, like they walking around like this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It messed me up, man.
Definitely.
I was just like, this is crazy,
All right, so now you've been out for how long?
I've been out 3 years.
3 years.
A little over 3 years.
Over 3 years. Okay, so do you have any goals set for yourself? Are you achieving them? Are you working on them? Are there things that you want to do moving forward from this point that you haven't accomplished? Now you're thriving, don't get me wrong, because you're out, you free. Like I said, man, our best day in there is nothing. Our worst day out here is better than the best day in there. So we ahead the game already. So like, what kind of goals, aspirations, and everything do you have moving forward?
Well, it's crazy because like when you're on the inside, you always, especially your females, they always talk about temptation. Are you gonna be able to overcome this temptation, right? And you looking at it like you talking about temptation from another female, but it's also in the when you free, you free. You have the freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do. Right. And we in prison. We write down what movies we want to look at when we get out. We write down, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna get, all this stuff, man. But then when you get out, man, life hits you. And the same thing that everybody else been telling you, man, hey, man, you might, we work out every day in prison. You get out, you might not work out every day because you ain't got time to work out every day because you got to go to work and pay these bills.
Yeah, life hits you, bro.
You feel me?
Life hits you, yeah.
It's a whole lot of things, like I want to get my CDLs, which I'm a maintenance man right now.
That's the job that you work.
That's the job that I got now. Yeah, I'm a maintenance man. But it's just so much. It's so many opportunities, but at the same time, you got to pay your bills.
You got to.
You got to, you got to do, So it's kind of like it's kind of one of them things like, and this is for everybody who's locked up, getting ready to get out. When you get out, stay single. That's all I'm gonna say.
And that was gonna be my next question was, we just talked about that not too long ago. So, other than men or women, and this is for men and women, right? Other than men and women staying single, what other advice would you give to people that were in the position that we were in, having a lot of time or whatever kind of time? What advice would you give them as far as pursuing freedom?
Yeah. Man. I mean, educate yourself for one.
Yes, sir.
Educate yourself. But you have to also, you can educate yourself, but you can also be so smart that you dumb as hell.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Yes, sir.
I know this. And you don't even understand.
Yeah, we've been around a bunch of them.
Man, come on.
We already know.
Everybody think that everybody that's been to prison, they think they know everything. Yeah. So be like I tell my boys, be coachable.
Right.
Be coachable. Let people who know give you that advice and take heed to it.
Right. So education is the top. And stay single.
Oh man.
Education and stay single.
And the reason, don't when I say stay single, I don't want to come off like saying that you shouldn't be in a relationship, and all I'm saying is like, because your question was it's like, have you accomplished all your goals and what is that you want to do? So it's like, in order for you to accomplish your goals, right, you have to focus on yourself.
You have to.
A relationship, certain affiliations with different, like your homeboys and all that can stagnate your growth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, focus on you and accomplish what you said you was gonna do, and then all the rest of that's gonna fall in place.
That's true. Like a lot of people, like us, myself and you included, we didn't give ourselves enough time to breathe, reacclimate, give ourselves a chance to grow from outside of prison and to the free world.
Right.
Okay, so all right, last question. In one word, if you can, how would you describe freedom?
I tell everybody, man, freedom is everything.
Everything.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, twin, my brother, I appreciate you coming on the show and spending time with us, man, and sharing your story. It was powerful, impactful. You still the same calm, laid-back character that I do.
Yes,
in
sir.
Prison, man. I enjoyed you. All right, everybody. That concludes another episode of Life After Life. Stay tuned. We will be back with another episode soon.